Chapter 632, Ice Dancer Zhang Yidua generously offered to treat everyone to a meal, and Liang Yu couldn't help but lean into his ear and ask in a low voice, "Do we have any money?" The money in the Blizzard City refers to points, and only people in the Blizzard City can obtain them through work and tasks. Zhang Yidua naturally didn't have any, and he had to rely on the allocated supplies even for meals here. Zhang Yidua shrugged, "It's fine, I have friends." He was naturally referring to Bai Li Changqing. This buddy is now the leader of the investigation team and has a lot of points in his hands. Plus, he owes Zhang Yi a huge favor, so it's naturally no problem to use his name to open a private room for drinking. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li, however, smiled and declined Zhang Yi's kindness. "Forget about drinking. Why don't we go to your room and chat slowly?" Although they were the leaders of the clans, they were still wary of drinking with a man they had just met. However, their suggestion inevitably sounded a bit misleading. "Go to your room and chat slowly." Zhang Yi couldn't help but fantasize endlessly. "What, are you trying to seduce me?" Peng Li noticed something wrong in Zhang Yi's eyes and explained angrily, "It's not what you think. It's just that we don't have anywhere else to go right now." They were from the outer city and didn't know the area well, so it wasn't easy to find a quiet and secluded place to chat. Zhang Yi scratched his head and said, "Sorry, let's do it this way." So the four of them got into the elevator together and planned to go to Zhang Yi's room to talk. After they left, one after the other aliens also walked out of the meeting room. The captain of the second team, Zhuo Feiyu, didn't chat with his teammates either. Everyone understood that it would be difficult to make these unruly people obey him. It wasn't just a matter of a few words. "Zhuo Feiyu." A dull voice called out to Zhuo Feiyu, who was about to leave. Zhuo Feiyu's eyes flashed, and he glanced behind him and saw Yu Xingyang, an old soldier from Xuchuan. "What's the matter?" Zhuo Feiyu asked somewhat coldly. Yu Xingyang stood a few meters behind him and said coldly, "I can't say anything about the squad assigned by Zhu Shuai. But I want to remind you, don't ever think that just because you're the captain, you can order us around." Yu Xingyang's eyes flashed with coldness. "And if you dare to do anything stupid, I won't listen to you." Zhuo Feiyu glanced at him indifferently, "Suit yourself." "Humph, of course," Yu Xingyang said, before turning and leaving. Not only them, but the situation of the other team was not very good either. Obviously, no one was convinced by the so-called team leader. They were all strong people who had fought their way out of the apocalypse on their own, with their own code of conduct, and it was hard for them to obey anyone else. In fact, Zhu Zheng and the others were well aware of this. However, there is an urgent need to eliminate Eclipse Moon at the moment, so these strong lone wolves must be mobilized. Being able to adapt to changing situations on the battlefield is even more important, so it depends on how they handle themselves. Besides, the regional side will also supervise the battle remotely at that time, so they are not afraid of them causing trouble. In contrast, Zhang Yi's team is even the most harmonious. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li arrived at Zhang Yi's room. Zhang Yi sat on the most comfortable sofa with his bottom, and Liang Yu sat on the armrest of the sofa with her dragon. Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li pulled two chairs over and sat opposite Zhang Yi. Peng Li crossed her legs, because the chair was higher than the sofa, so she could look down on Zhang Yi from an angle above. Her eyes revealed her arrogance, as if warning Zhang Yi not to try to direct them. Zhang Yi didn't care about this at all. These two so-called teammates, it's fine to have them, and it doesn't matter if they're not there. But if they want to act together with him, they have to listen. "Okay, now that there's no one else here, let's have a good chat." Zhang Yi reached out and stroked the fur of Huaxia, smiling as he looked at them. Chen Xiaoxiao smiled and said, "Since it's a group assigned by the district, it's best that we follow the rules. Everyone knows that the Eclipse Moon's aliens are all extremely powerful. They are even above you and me." Zhang Yi smiled without saying a word. Chen Xiaoxiao continued, "That's why we must cooperate to ensure that we survive on the battlefield and successfully complete our mission. Then, at least we need to know each other's abilities so that we can cooperate more easily when the time comes." Chen Xiaoxiao spread her arms, so I hope everyone can tell each other about their abilities. Of course, if you agree, as a sign of good faith, I can go first and tell you about mine. What do you say? Liang Yu glanced at Zhang Yi and waited for him to make a decision. Zhang Yi just gave a faint smile and nodded without any hesitation. Sure, I think that's a good suggestion. Even if he did say something, he would not completely reveal his own details. He knew that Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li might not reveal their own details either. Chen Xiaoxiao smiled slightly. Okay, I'll introduce myself first. She placed her hand on her chest. My ability is called a strengthening type otherworldly ability. Because I have studied Brazilian combat dance for 10 years, I am good at using kicking techniques in combat. As she spoke, she pointed her finger at Peng Li next to her. Peng Li's ability is a releasing type ability. As you can tell from the name, her ability is more geared towards support and enhancement. She can help people greatly improve their basic physical abilities and heal their injuries. If they aren't fatally wounded, she can heal them quickly. Zhang Yi glanced at Peng Li upon hearing this. It turned out that these two were a team. A powerful melee master of the enhancement system paired with a healer was indeed a perfect match. Peng Li's ability is somewhat like a weakened version of the Enjo course. However, if one person has both abilities and can empower one person, they can achieve a powerful effect of 1 + 1 greater than 3. Zhang Yi knew in his heart that they were hiding something. The most obvious one was Chen Xiaoxiao's ability. These 3 words did not come from her introduction to her ability. Zhang Yi smiled slightly. Then it's our turn. I, Zhang Yi. Trait ability user, spatial ability. Ability code. I can open an alternative space for storage and defense work, as well as use the subdimensional gate to travel through space. After Zhang Yi finished describing her abilities, the expressions on Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li's faces became solemn. Spatial ability. Chapter 633, Power Space abilities are extremely rare, and because of their powerful comprehensive abilities, they have always been a legendary existence that people yearn for. After all, so far, the only space aliens Zhang Yi has seen other than himself are the Faceless in Blizzard City and the female alien from the Shishan base who could pass through walls, which he killed first. Chen Xiaoxiao muttered, no wonder Zhu Shui let you be the team leader. A Delta-class anomaly with spatial abilities, no wonder. The two, who had initially had some opinions about Zhang Yi being the team leader, gradually understood at this point. Zhang Yi laughed. My abilities seem to be quite popular. Of course they are. Chen Xiaoxiao shrugged and laughed. You don't understand how useful these abilities are nowadays. Peng Li gave a sour smile and said, that's right. People are always unaware of how wonderful the things they have are. In the current cold and snowy weather, the convenience of spatial abilities, even if they are only used for support, makes all other aliens jealous. For example, Zhang Yi can use the different space to transport a large amount of heavy weapons and equipment. If two armies face each other, one side having such an alien will present a crushing advantage in terms of weapons and equipment. And when going on a long journey, other aliens also need to carry a lot of supplies. Heating, food, medicine, hygiene, and so on and so forth. Even aliens are very vulnerable in the post-apocalyptic world. It is possible to die from infection after a battle due to insufficient supplies. But with a spatial alien by your side, these are completely unconcerning. Zhang Yi is used to using it himself and doesn't feel anything, but other people are very jealous. Chen Xiaoxiao looked at Zhang Yi and said doubtfully, Zhang Yi, what is your combat style? Even if you can't show us everything, you're keeping too much to yourself. Zhang Yi gave a faint smile and said, my offensive method is very simple. It's a gun. A gun? Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li looked suspicious. For high-level aliens, ordinary firearms are basically useless. Zhang Yi said, my spatial ability can help me with shooting, increasing the range and attack power. It can even cause some damage to aliens. Unless it's an enhanced or orc alien with supreme defense, I can cause some damage to other aliens. Not to mention that Zhang Yi now has a large amount of origin bombs and holy silver bullets in his hands. Chen Xiaoxiao nodded, and then a happy smile appeared on her face. Then we are really lucky to be on the same team as you. Peng Li next to her blinked curiously. Huh? Why? Chen Xiaoxiao calmly explained, with a spatial alien on the team, logistics and supplies will not be a problem. In other words, we can fight for a long time outside. And from Zhang Yi's introduction, it is not difficult to see that he is a defensive counter-type alien. Compared to attacking, he is better at defending. In that case, we will be safer if we stay close to him. Peng Li nodded, and her gaze on Zhang Yi became softer. I see. Zhang Yi slowly got to know their personalities through their interactions. Chen Xiaoxiao looked like she had been a team leader before, and liked to take the initiative. But fortunately, she was smart and logical. Dealing with smart people was always something Zhang Yi liked to do. Zhang Yi looked at Liang Yu and introduced her. This is Liang Yu. She is a power-enhancing ability user and a martial arts master. There doesn't seem to be much more to introduce about the others, does there? Zhang Yi said with a smile as he looked at Liang Yu. Liang Yu's abilities were indeed relatively simple, being the kind of most common power-enhancing abilities. However, her own combat power was really too strong. It could even be said that even if she didn't have supernatural powers, she could fight LV2 beta-level aliens with her own kung fu alone. Sometimes Zhang Yi also wonders, with such a talent, once she has gained the advantage of being close, she might be able to kill people beyond her level. Zhang Yi swallowed silently. He needs to be nicer to Liang Yu in the future. However, from the past to the present, he has spared no effort in courting Liang Yu. Peng Li and Chen Xiaoxiao did not react much, just nodded towards Liang Yu. The enhanced aliens did not seem too extraordinary in their eyes. And they could not quite understand the concept of a martial arts master. So, what about it? Chen Xiaoxiao suddenly pointed at the flower on Zhang Yi's knee. A wise light flashed in her eyes as she laughed. Don't tell me this is just a pet. No pet can withstand the extreme low temperature of -60 degrees Celsius. And you don't seem like the kind of man who would forget to bring his pet along for fun at such a critical moment. Zhang Yi gave a faint smile. You have a good insight. Indeed, my Hua Hua is no ordinary cat. Peng Li asked, could it be the cat in Wang Wei's poem? Seeing the strange looks from everyone, she shrugged. Can't I just have some fun? Chen Xiaoxiao hurriedly explained to Zhang Yi and Liang Yu, she's always been like this, don't mind her. It's okay. Zhang Yi stroked Hua Hua, he's a mutant. If we were to classify him according to the human supernatural ability rankings, he'd be a Delta level. Hua Hua can evolve by devouring aliens, which obviously meets the criteria for a Delta level. That's great. Chen Xiaoxiao stared at Hua Hua with some excitement in her eyes. In that case, our team will have 5 Delta level combatants. And there's also a rare spatial being. Now, our probability of obtaining mission points will be higher than other teams. Peng Li also smiled and said, so we have a chance of taking Linhai City, right? Chen Xiaoxiao nodded, yes, that's right. Zhang Yi just smiled without saying a word. Chen Xiaoxiao couldn't wait to say to Zhang Yi, then, let's go over the information together again. It's better to discuss it together and pool everyone's ideas than to look at it alone. Okay, let's go over it together. Zhang Yi gave a faint smile and reached for the glass to drink some water. But when his hand reached out and touched the glass, he realized that the water had already cooled down. Liang Yu understood what he was thinking and took the glass from his hand, going to the water heater to get a cup of hot water. Zhang Yi looked at Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li with a smile and spoke slowly. However, shouldn't we first have a good talk about teamwork? He spread his hands. What I mean is, I hope you two can understand. Since we have become members of a team, when we act, you have to follow my orders. Since they met, Chen Xiaoxiao has been actively trying to take the initiative. Zhang Yi doesn't oppose this, but just smiles and goes along with her rhythm. It's not that he's stupid, it's just that he doesn't care. This so-called squad is not that important to him either. Because until now, Zhu Zheng and the others are not sure of his true strength. Perhaps in the next operation, Zhang Yi may not be able to eliminate several members of Eclipse Moon. But when he wants to leave, no one can hurt his life. However, if Chen Xiaoxiao and Peng Li want to team up with him, they have to listen to him.